Okay, so a bit of a heads up before we start, because other people have talked about the problems in the film The Predator, but I like to talk tangentially and intangibly about things that I was entertained by for the most part, and occasionally bring up some of the more problematic tones or themes that are on the side, and I don't really want to try and do that too much with this film's depiction of neurodivergence, because while I am comfortable throwing shade at Hellraiser for having the evil abuser villains clad in BDSM iconography, I do not feel that I am adequately able to joke about or discuss the ramifications in this film depicting conditions such as Asperger's and autism, which are outright stated in this film to be the next stage of human evolution, without really... I don't feel like I could have a conversation like that, and there's a bit of an uncomfortable conversation behind it at all about how neurodivergence is depicted in media in general, and the reactions a lot of people had because the main character's son in The Predator is autistic is something that I was kind of disgusted by, and how he's discussed a lot of the time. You know how the internet can be about certain characters, and it was really scary to see what people were saying about the main character's son in The Predator. And the rest of this film is, of course, just me... stuff that I can talk about. Big dumb aliens that kill people for sport. Yeah, so The Predator, not a very nice depiction of neurodivergence, but I think it was well-meaning enough. Anyway, so... this is Pointless Witticisms, the thing where I talk about things intangibly and tangentially, and The Predator is the 2018 film in the long-running Predator franchise, whose simple premise of badass alien comes to Earth to hunt and kill badasses has been entertaining kids who probably shouldn't be watching this much violence for decades now. Predator and Predator 2 each introduce the iconic weapons and look of the Predators, a race of aliens that come to Earth to hunt and kill badasses. Their motivations are almost remarkably shallow, really, but it is cool to see them respect the hero for being a worthy opponent and what have you for the most part. They do silly things like skinning people or taking their skulls and spinal cords out of their body for a trophy. They turn invisible. They use the trees. They're sort of a stealthy killer where you don't know where they are, and they're kind of strong when you finally do get close enough to be able to punch them, but you can make them bleed. They're not invincible, and they play fair to some extent. They're a sucker for a duel even, and that's usually something that you can use to catch them if you've got the right trap, even if they'll usually make it out of the trap right in time. Now, Predators had the cool idea to make 3 new, stronger and bigger Predators, and there were 3 of them so that you could kill one every so often to put a little bit of triumph in this film. Whereas this film just has... it has one Predator crash to Earth and fight the main character, only for the Predator to get captured by a secret anti-Predator government team, but the Predator escapes, and the main character escapes government custody with a couple of people that are being drummed out of the military for various conditions or what have you, and there's a character with Tourette's in amongst them, there's one character with PTSD, and they manage to catch up with the Predator, have a fight it. The main character's son has been playing with Predator weapons and technology throughout the film, because the main character sent his some of the stuff that he stole from the Predator's crashed ship to his house. Then, of course, the Uber Predator shows up, who is a 10-foot-tall predator who is bulletproof and can fire his Wolverine claws like missiles, and he is the coolest predator of them all. He is so cool, he makes regular predators look like humans next to the predators, and he proceeds to pick up the predator that they've been stalking up to this point and brutally decapitate him. This is not a spoiler, because it is literally in all of the trailers and all of the posters to show off that the Uber Predator is bigger and cooler. I said him, referring to the Uber Predator, but according to half of what I've read online about female predators, the Uber Predator in this film could just as easily be a female predator, and what they're normally like. What with the whole female of the species is more deadly than the male thing that they were meant to be going for, except the sort of side stuff where sometimes female predators are just like regular predators, except with breasts and curves. And this predator is also supposedly a cyborg and stuff too. Like, she has subdermal armor and camouflage and stuff, unless she evolved that from one of the aliens she's spliced with. It isn't a spoiler to say that there's an Uber Predator anyway. But this film has two female characters, one of whom is the concerned wife, and one of whom is the doctor who survived a run-in with a predator and discovers all the important information and gets to carry around a gun and shoot the uber predator. But since the uber predator matches what limited information I know about Predator Woman, and there's not that many women in this film, I choose to believe that the uber predator in this film is a woman. Might as well. This film's badass girl, because this immediately adds a feminist tone to the way she emasculates the classical predator through beating the snot out of him and dispatching him in the same fashion that the traditionally masculine predator dispatches his worthy opponents, by taking his head and spine and removing it from the body. Again, this is not a spoiler, this is literally on the posters. It would have been quite a bit of fun if she was a she. She could have been the one ugly mother in this film, instead of the predator's usual, you are one ugly motherfucker, that they always stick in every film. Heck, this film even sticks in a get to the chopper reference to the first Predator film. And I'll have to talk about Alien versus Predator films at some point to pick this thread up, where Alien is a bit of a feminist film and Predator is kinda just masculine power fantasy. Now, why is she a giant predator? Why is the uber predator more badass than a regular predator? Why do people get to use all the predator's toys in this film, and like human characters that get to pick up predator technology and try and use it to fight the predators? Because this film isn't made for the Predator fans who demand a perfect and serious film, as epic and amazing and sort of like subverting your expectations as the first Predator film is, where it starts as an action film and transitions into horror. Like, this film is for all the parents who are showing their kids a cool film with a predator in it, where the main character of this film is a dad, and he has a son who gets brought into the adventure, and his son gets to wear a predator mask. And why is it that in the film? Wasn't that dumb? No, that wasn't dumb. That was cool, because that's exactly the sort of thing this is made for, because kids did think the Predator was cool. Kids were being shown the Predator by their parents, even if it was all a little adult and forbidden and gory. And being shown that when you're a little young for it, and all this cursing and explosions, was stuff that would capture the imaginations of these kids. Like, there's stuff in this film for the Predator fans who are die-hard and like old references and remember all the stuff. Like, there's the son of the government guy from the second film, and the classic Predator in this film that we follow for like the first bit. He lost his mask, so he takes the mask of another Predator that crashed to Earth, and it's the mask of the first Predator, and that sort of adds a bit, actually, to the theme of the uber predator emasculating him, because whereas he looks like the classic Predator and is wearing and armed with bits of the series' history, the uber predator just stomps him, and she represents the future of the series and what have you, as just this bigger and crazier and more escalating and new toys and stuff. And yeah, is The Predator good? It is a good Predator movie. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I wish I could have watched it with my dad, actually. I mean, I could, but I'd gone and seen it in cinemas with friends, and if I wanted to get it on DVD, CEX is still selling it for like £8 pre-owned, and that's a bit of a lot, but my brother did pay that much when he wanted to buy the film Upgrade. Yeah, I do intend to rewatch The Predator. I want to own it on DVD because I own the rest of the Predator films on DVD, and all of them are very much watchable. Like, you can just stick that film on and have fun, and this film is exactly that tone of put it on, have a lot of fun, that Predator is built upon as a franchise. Like, it is just the cool masculine power fantasy action film series with one or two female characters on the side that almost feel like, yeah, again, I intend to talk about that when I get to like Aliens versus Predator, those films, because the Alien films have a single continuous feminine lead, while the Predator films have disposable masculine leads, with none of them having ever reappeared. Like, they'll show up again in comics and stuff, but film-wise, they just dispose of the old man and replace him with a new one, because that's what the film is like. It's just different variations upon badass male character fighting this hunter from the stars that is big and beefy and wears fishnet stockings and has a vaginal shaped mouth. Yeah, a bit of symbolism on that one, I suppose. Anyway, thank you for listening. This was Pointless Witticisms, and if you have anything you want me to have a look at in the future, just comment on that. Thank you.